Night Health continues. I guess the last 8 months or so, I met Sonia Blangiardo, and along with her partner, Brandon, we've been doing some things and talking about working together. And we were talking about late night health, and I found out about the Carlo Blangiardo Foundation, and I thought it would be a very good thing for us to look at over the next couple of months in little bits and pieces. Your brother was 35 when he passed?
Yes, he was 35.
Oh my. How long ago?
5 years ago.
It's still fresh.
It's surprisingly still is. I don't think it ever really gets better. You just learn how to cope.
Lead us up to his battle with cancer, if you will. When he called you and said, "By the way, sis," how did you react? What was his conversation with you, and what was your reaction?
Well, what happened in his particular case, because he was so young, the doctors didn't know what to look for, and certainly not that. So he was misdiagnosed about 7 times. First was jaundice, skin rash, kidney stones. I mean, the list went on. And the first time we heard the word cancer, he was misdiagnosed as having lymphoma. So we were not happy, but like, okay, that cancer at least is curable. And then upon further testing, they found a mass in his pancreas. And he said to the doctor, I was with him, he said, "Doc, does that mean I have pancreatic cancer?" And the doctor said, "If you have pancreatic cancer at 32, you'll make medical history." But he did have pancreatic cancer.
Oh, my.
So.
And we know that it's a relatively fast-moving cancer.
Yes.
And as you said, it's incurable at this point.
Yes, it still is. He was one of the lucky ones. He lasted 3 years. Usually that's not the case because people get diagnosed with it later in life, and they just don't have the resistance of a young body. So they usually, sadly, the period is usually about 6 months, and he lasted pretty much 3 years from diagnosis to death. How
did that affect your immediate family? What was the reaction upon getting the diagnosis?
I could speak from a personal perspective. I really never believed that it would be it. You just keep going. I was with him. I was really lucky to have a great understanding boss who allowed me to have Fridays off. I was with him every Friday when he had chemo at Sloan Kettering back in Manhattan. And so you're with him, and you go through CAT scans and PET scans every 3 months, and you're like, okay, it didn't grow. We're good. And then it just happened so quickly when it grew, and then he went into hospice. And then even when he was in hospice, I was like, he'll be fine. I think something kicks in when someone you love is going through that. It's hard. It's got to be very hard. It was very hard. It was a very surreal. It's something that I still can't believe happened because we were not the normal brother sister. We were best friends. We talked every day. We hung out together. We did. I was there when he met his wife, and it was a very difficult thing because not only was it a family member, but he truly was my best friend. So it was difficult. Oh wow! And he left 2 children. At the time, he left one. His wife was 4 months pregnant when he passed, which he knew about, but he obviously didn't make it to see her birth. Oh, yeah. That's even. Yeah, it's gut-wrenching. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a movie to share the pain and to get somebody off their derriere to cure this thing. My grandmother, who was 80, almost 80, had pancreatic cancer, but she had a full life. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that, though. It's never okay. One of my best friends back in New York, her aunt passed away from the disease, and she was in her 50s. Not as young as my brother, but still, it's never okay because it's a disease that really tortures the person before they end up letting go. So that process is really very cruel and very hard to sit through. And Patrick Swayze, Michael Landon, those are 2 people that pop into my head. Steve Jobs, yeah. That's right. What would you do differently in advising your brother about health care? Would you go the traditional route? Would you try alternative? Did you try alternatives? He didn't. He really listened to what his oncologist advised, which was chemotherapy right from the beginning. And what happens is your body grows immune to that sort of treatment. So then they just changed the regimen. So he went at least 6 different types of chemo. One was like pills and going in there for, once every 2 weeks. Then they changed it, and they always give the body a rest. So he trusted his oncologist, and he did what he did. And I think that if you take a risk at that point, it's one or the other. And I'm not opposed to the other, but it's pretty bold because you'd be going against what the medical community is advising you to do.
What would you do, personally?
Now that I know,
Yes.
I don't think I would go through chemo. Because I know, and it's a terrible thing, I mean, this is a bigger conversation about life and its meaning, but if you know that you're not going to survive something and you're just prolonging the agony for yourself and for your loved ones, I don't know if I would have the courage to sit through that. And mostly no, because I know what it caused the people around him and how much pain he was in over that.
Well, I can't imagine. Actually, we with Smitty a few years ago.
Yeah, and with Leslie, who you've met, she was diagnosed 10 years ago with stage 4 breast cancer,
Right.
double mastectomy, cancer's still alive in her body, and she's been alive for 10 years with chemo.
With chemo.
Yeah.
With chemo. She gets it on a regular basis?
She did up until about a year ago, yeah. Then
Got
it
it.
started affecting her heart, and they had to back off.
Wow. Smitty came in, was hanging around with us here at Late Night Health and working with Daryl, and he disappeared, and we hadn't talked to him, and he called me up and he said, I just called to say goodbye because I've been diagnosed with cancer, and they've given me a couple of months. And he came in and did an interview, and we talked about what went through his head. And not only was he concerned about, obviously, living, but also how the process was affecting his family.
Absolutely. My brother was as I said to you before, he really was a walking clown. Like, he just loved making people laugh, and he was very generous, and he never wanted us to feel his pain. So he would make a joke. Like, he would be like, I'm going to kick cancer's ass, and I'm going to, and he would spell cancer with a K, and cancer doesn't have me, I have it. And he would always
there's
do that.
actually a group called Kick Cancer?
No, I didn't know that.
There
Because
is.
that's his foundation, Kick Pancreatic-Cancer to the Curb. He loved soccer, so we did that to honor him.
This was baseball, I think, we did in Michigan.
Yeah, then Fran Drescher has Cancer Smancer
Yeah.
organization.
Yeah, that's right.
I think people with humor always supplement what their situation is with humor, which is
Right.
what he did.
And I think Kick Cancer wasn't baseball, it was
Football?
karate.
Oh,
It was karate, and it's for young kids.
yeah.
I mean, we've talked about spirituality on the show, and is there or isn't there a God? And you have to wonder why a young man in his prime, literally in his prime, is afflicted with this. I can't imagine seeing somebody that I love go through the pain and suffering of treatment. I mean, I'm speechless. And Smitty came in and explained it, and it wasn't a fun time. He said one day I'd be okay, and I could go out and I could work, and the next week, I could barely function.
Yeah. And that, I think that's the case. I mean, cancer, fortunately, today isn't a death sentence overall, but certain particular cancers still need help and work and things like that. But I do understand, and that was his biggest point, too. He would always say, why not me? Because children are born with cancer, and what did they do? So there is no rhyme or reason to this disease. But he was always, whenever someone said that to him, he always made sure he pointed that out.
Got it. And Carlos, tell me about Carlo. What did he do for a living? What was his passion other than his family?
He really, unlike me, was always very set. Like, he wanted the white picket fence, the wife, and the kids, and that's exactly what he got. He was married fairly young. Well, for me, at 47, never been married, but he was married at like 28. And he was an IT specialist. He was a history major. We're like, what are you going to do with a history degree? So then he got into IT and got his master's in IT and was working with an international shipping company where they all loved him, and he made fun of everyone, and that was what he did. But yeah, he loved he loved to travel. We loved cooking together. All the things that you would expect a young guy to really want. Loved his sports. Was obsessed with his New York teams: Rangers, Mets, Giants. And if they lost, it was like he took it personally. So he was that guy.
Got it. So all around,
just your normal, fun guy that really everybody wants to be around.
You started the foundation to raise money, also to create awareness about pancreatic cancer. How are you doing with that?
I'm at a standstill for one specific reason. We raise about $30,000, which is not a little amount of money, but it certainly isn't a lot of money in the big scheme of things. And I really want, at this point, to piggyback with a more established pancreatic cancer research facility institution so that it would make a difference, so that together pooling in resources can go to testing for early detection. And because I think that's the key. I don't think that anybody should be concentrating on a cure. I'm certainly not a doctor by any means or a researcher. But I think the key lies in just early detection.
And prevention.
And prevention.
And prevention. We talked about cancer prevention earlier in the show, in the first hour with Dr. Christine Horner. There's a relatively new procedure I'm trying to think of what it's called. You remember? You don't either. Oh, here it is. I found it. Immunotherapy that was developed. And then there's a drug company, biotech company in Israel that has come up with a new way of treating cancer that destroys the cancer cells. And I think all this research is necessary, both on the big pharma side and also research in the naturopathic, Ayurvedic, holistic side, because together, I think, a cure will be found. And if you are interested in making a contribution or even learning more about the foundation, you can go to carlosgoal.org, carlosgoal.org. And if you didn't get that, go to latenighthealth.com. Latenighthealth.com, we'll have it there under our guest page. Just go to S for Sonia, and you'll be able to see how pretty Sonia is, and at the same time, there'll be a link to the carlosgoal.org website as well. When we come back in just a couple of moments, we'll talk about the world of soap operas, because you're in soap operas. You're a video director, a TV director, a film director. But your life, at least at this point, was a soap opera, wasn't it?
Completely. 100%. My friends didn't know which one was real and which one was fake.
And I'm sorry to make you tear up and a little bit.
I always love talking about them. It actually brings you some peace.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good to know. I'm Mark Alyn, and Sonia and I will be back with Brandon is in studio. Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Mark.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
All right, good. And, of course, the insane Daryl Wayne is here, too. And everybody I know has been affected by cancer. Personally, both you and I have.
Yeah, my mother.
Your mom, just year and a half. My grandmother, years and years ago. It's an insidious thing. And at the same time, cancer's a big business here in the United States. And I'm not sure that these guys want it cured or not. Maybe we'll talk about that. All right, coming up, more of Sonia as Late Night Health continues.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt that is straining your monthly budget? Have you been turned down for a personal loan, credit card, or mortgage? We'll quickly connect you with expert financial resources that provide free information that helps save you time and money and get you back on track. Don't spend hours a day searching for help. With just one phone call, we'll quickly connect you with your debt solution. We have programs to settle your debt, lower your bills, and cut your monthly payments. Call 800-989-8123 to get a free debt analysis to help you reduce your debt and get you back on track. The call is free, secure, and confidential. Call 800-989-8123. 800-989-8123. 800-989-8123. That's 800-989-8123.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
800-280-3454. 800-280-3454. 800-280-3454.